John, thanks very much indeed. And we stay with events at Stormont. We can talk now to the TUV leader, Jim Allister, and Stephen Agnew from the Green Party. Stephen Agnew, you backed this petition of concern, signed it to help bring all this legislation to a shuddering halt. Why did you do that?
Well, the Green Party has consistently opposed the welfare cuts throughout the passage through the Assembly, including trying to bring forward several amendments which were opposed by Sinn Féin that would have sought to protect some of the most vulnerable, and indeed including our opposition to the bedroom tax. At that time, Sinn Féin were telling us that no one would be worse off under the bill, and they're now saying what I've been saying all along. They're now admitting that, in fact, it would have had a considerable impact on the most vulnerable. So I'm happy that the welfare bill isn't going through.
Well, it's a principled stand, you would argue, but it comes at quite a price, as we've been hearing.
Well, I certainly would have preferred that parties like Sinn Féin hadn't signed up to the Stormont House Agreement and agreed to implement welfare reform and then renege on it. We opposed the Stormont House Agreement, but we've been consistent. What parties do, particularly a party the size of Sinn Féin with the responsibility it has, by sort of doing the hokey-cokey, being in 1 minute and out the next, they have created this instability. That's regrettable, but we've stayed consistent that we could not support welfare reform. We saw it as part of the Tory cuts agenda being implemented in Northern Ireland, and we've opposed it today as we opposed it at the start.
OK, Jim Allister, before we look at the bigger picture, where do you actually stand on welfare reform?
Sinn Féin is in the business of trying to bankrupt Northern Ireland over welfare reform. They're quite happy to do that. Sinn Féin aren't in government to give us good government. They're not in government to give stability, and I think we saw that today. They're in government to prove their thesis that Northern Ireland is ungovernable, and of course, giving them that opportunity at the heart of government, they're taking it at every turn. But today demonstrates to me not only Sinn Féin's malafide in terms of their position in government, but it demonstrates the total dysfunctionality and unworkability of this system. It's only 10 weeks ago since the Stormont House Agreement was hailed as a great new dawn, and it was being sold as something marvellous. And here tonight it lies in tatters, and demonstrating that Sinn Féin is a totally untrustworthy partner in government who won't even live up to an agreement they made 10 weeks ago.
So where do we go? Where do we go from here then, Jim?
Well, we go to a system that would work. How long are we going to fiddle around with a system that lurches from one crisis to the next and not realise that the way to get durable, workable devolution is to have a coalition of the willing, those who can agree what they're going to do about welfare reform, about health, about education, and who can command the requisite majority. They, whoever they are, they govern. Those who can't agree, whoever they are, they form the opposition, and then we get government that works. But the source of this problem is a mandatory coalition which puts all parties as of right in government with no necessity to agree about anything in order to be in government, and hence the consequences.
OK, well, I mean, Stephen, this sort of root and branch reform that Jim Allister is talking about there, is that a possibility, or are we stuck with the system we have?
I think it's a possibility, and in fact I think it's essential, but what I would say, and what I've said consistently, is that would mean a reworking of the Good Friday Agreement, which was endorsed by the people of Northern Ireland. Any reworking proposals should be put back to the people in Northern Ireland, and the big mistake we've made since 1998 is the politicians have taken the ball and run. It's time to actually give power back to the people, engage them, ask them what they want to see, and involve them in the decision-making process, because the Stormont House Agreement was a dodgy deal done behind closed doors. Until we have actual citizen participation in resolving these issues, we will not come up with a sustainable solution.
Jim Allister and Stephen Agnew, thank you both very much.